This is I Lucifer by Glenn Duncan. The main character in the book, his name is Deacon Gunn, which is an anagram of Glenn Duncan, which is kind of funny. Here's the blurb on the back. The end is nigh, and the Prince of Darkness has just been offered one hell of a deal, re-entry into heaven for eternity if you can live out a well-behaved life in a human body on earth. It's the ultimate case of trying without buying, and despite the limitations of the human body in question, previous owner, one suicidally unsuccessful writer Declan Gunn, Luce seizes the opportunity to run riot through the realm of the senses. This is his chance to straighten the biblical record. Adam, it's hinted, was a misguided variation on the Eve design. To celebrate his favorite achievements, everything from the Inquisition to Elton John, and most important, to get Julia Roberts attached to his screenplay. But the experience of walking among us isn't what His Majesty expected. Instead of teaching us what it's like to be him, Lucifer finds himself understanding what it's like to be us. Okay, Chapter 1. I, Lucifer, fallen angel, prince of darkness, bringer of light, ruler of hell, lord of the flies, father of lies, apostate supreme, tempter of mankind, old serpent, prince of this world, seducer, accuser, tormentor, blasphemer, and without doubt best fuck in the seen and unseen universe, ask Eve that minx, have decided, ooh la la, to tell all. All? Some. I'm toying with that for a title. Some. Got a post-millennial modesty to it, don't you think? Some. My side of the story. The funk, the jive, the boogie, the rock and roll. I invented rock and roll. You wouldn't believe the things I've invented. Anal sex, obviously. Smoking, astrology, money. Let's save time. Everything in the world that distracts you from thinking about God, which pretty much is everything in the world, isn't it? Gosh. Now, your million questions. All in the end, the same question. What's it like being me? What for heaven's sake is it like being me? In a nutshell, which thanks to me is the way you like it, in these hurrying and fragmented times, it's hard. For a start, I'm in pain the whole time, something considerably more diverting than lumbago or irritable bowel. There's a constant burning agony all over, so to speak. That's quite bad. Punctuated by irregular bursts of incandescent or meta-agony, as if my entire being is hosting its own private Armageddon. That's really very bad. These nukes, these supernova, catch me unawares. The work I've botched, the ones that have got away, honestly, it really would be shameful, but had I not done the sensible thing, you know, it makes sense, and become utterly inured to shame about 1,000 billion years ago. Then there's the rage. You probably think you know rage, the trodden on, chilblains, the hammered thumb, the facetious boss, the wife, the best mate, soyant no fait, on the conjugal divan, the cue. You probably think you've seen red. Take it from me, you haven't. You haven't seen pink. I, on the other hand, well, pure scarlet, carmine, burgundy, vermilion, magenta, oxblood on particularly bad days. And who you might ask is to blame for that? Didn't I choose my fate? Wasn't everything hunky-dory in heaven before I upset the old man with that rebellion stunt? Here's something for you. It might come as a shock. God looks like an old man with a long white beard. You think I'm kidding. You'll wish I was kidding. He looks like a foul-tempered Father Christmas. Yes, I chose. And oh, how we've never heard the end of it. Until now. Now there's a new deal on the table. Certainly you may snort. I did. As if it was ever going to be as simple as that. He knocks me out, he does, with his little whims. With his little whims and his, well, one hesitates naturally to use the word, his naivety. You'll have noticed you'll have noticed I'm capitalizing the H on he and his and him. Can't help it. It's hardwired, believe me. If I could get past it, I would. Rebellion was a liberating experience, rage and pain notwithstanding, but acres of the old circuitry remain. Witness the, excuse me while I yawn, ritual romanum. I'm tempted to prompt the ditherers, gets me out though eventually. Every time I think it's going to be different, every time it isn't, the blood of the martyrs commands you, Yes, 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 I know. I've heard. I'm going already. Naivety is conspicuously absent from my own CV. As a matter of fact, I can hear and see pretty much everything in the human realm pretty much all the time. In the human realm, trumpets and cymbal crashes celebration please. I'm omniscient, more or less, which is just as well, since there's so much you curious little monkeys want to know. What is an angel? Is hell really hot? Was Eden really lush? Is heaven as dull as it sounds? Do homosexuals suffer eternal damnation? And what about being consensually buggered by your lawful wedded hubby on his birthday? Are Buddhists okay? In time, what I must tell you about this is the New Deal. I'm trying, but it's tricky. Humans, as the pug-faced kraut and chronic masturbator Kant pointed out, are struck within the limits of space and time. Modes of apprehension, the grammar of understanding, and all that. Whereas the reality is, now do pay attention because this is when all's said and done, me, Lucifer, telling you what the reality is. The reality is that there are infinite number of modes of apprehension. Time and space are just two of them. Half of them don't even have names, and if I listed the half that did, you'd be none the wiser since they're named in a language you wouldn't understand. There's a language for angels and none of it translates. There's no dictionary of angel speak, you just have to be an angel. After the fall, the first one I mean, my fall, the one with all the special effects, we, myself and my fellow renegades, found our language changed and our mouths friendly to a variant of it, more guttural, riddled with fricatives and sibilants, but less pouncy, less gaudish. As well as a century or two of laryngitis, the new dialect gave us irony. You can imagine what a relief that was. Himself, whatever else he might have going for him, has absolutely no sense of humor. Perfection precludes it. Gags work the gap between what's imaginable and what actually is, necessarily off the menu for a being who actually is all he can imagine. They'll be so when all he can imagine is all that can be imagined. Heaven's heard us down here, cackling at our piss takes and trotting at our quips. I've seen the looks, the suspicion that they're missing out on it, this laughing malarkey. But they always turn away. Gabriel to horn practice, Michael to the weights. Truth is they're timid. If there was a safe way down, a fire escape, boom boom, there'd be more than a handful of deserters tiptoeing down to my door. Abandon hope, all ye who enter here, yes, but get ready for our rart old giggle, dearie. So this is going to be a difficulty. My existence has always been latticed and curlicued with difficulties, bent wrist to perspiring forehead. This translation of angelic experience into human language. Angelic experience is a phenomenal renaissance. English a tart's clutch bag. How cram the former into the latter? Take darkness, for example. You've no idea what stepping into darkness is like for me. I could say it was sliding into a meat coat still redolent with both the spirits of its slaughtered donors and the atomized whiff of top-dollar cunt. I could say it was an immersion in unholy chrism. I could say it was the first drink after 5 pinched years on the wagon. I could say it was a homecoming, and so on. It wouldn't suffice. I'm confined to the blank and defeated insistence that one thing is another. And how, pray, does that bring us any closer to the thing itself? All the metaphors in this world wouldn't scratch the surface of what stepping into darkness is like for me. And that's just darkness. Don't get me started on light. Really, don't get me started on light. It's yielding sympathy for poets, this New Deal, which is fitting reciprocity since poets have always had such sympathy for me. Not that I can claim any credit for sympathy